My bad. We let a sex offender, a child sex offender, dressed up like a girl, rape the kid. That was probably not the best thing we could do, and we're sorry. So that was great. They nailed it. Soy boy noise, 110% organic. Hey everybody, please share this out to your social medias. Tweet it, Facebook it, wherever it is that you social media at. Get the word out on the stream. It's going to be a good stream tonight. We're going over some things Bill Gates said. And we're going to touch on a few of the articles and just how ridiculous this whole thing is. We're going to also run over these COVID numbers again, and it should be a good time. We're going to remind you that truth rests in the shadow of simplicity. The one thing the left and the whole media and the global power elite have been doing to us is they've been telling us a story, and they get that story as convoluted and as confusing as possible. And in that, they can hide a lot of stuff, and they can push a lot of stuff on us. And it's when we just get to the simple facts that life comes back into focus. So it's going to be a good time tonight. It's going to be a good stream. It's going to be an informative stream. So please make sure you share this out. If you're catching me on my podcast, you can subscribe to me at SJG Perspective on YouTube also for however long that lasts. And if you, for the people that have been following me for a while on D Live and YouTube, wherever you podcast at, I'm gonna start putting my episodes up. You can find me on Google at SJG Perspective and the podcast, or on Spotify. Let me pull these up while I've got a captive audience here. And tell you some of the places you can find me. You can find me, I guess, on Breaker Podcast, Google Podcasts, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, Spotify, and then also on Anchor Podcast, so Anchor.fm. You can find me there, and so all my episodes will start going up on there. So be really cool. What's up, Abandon? How are you? Abaddon. Is it abandoned? No, there's no end in there. It's just abandoned. Hello, sir. How are you? So yeah, be really great if you guys follow me over there. On my podcasts too. I'll probably be doing some podcasts that are just dedicated just to the actual podcast and not just on YouTube. But for right now, I'm going to be doing my restream. So I'm streaming on D Live, Periscope, Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube. So SJG Perspective, you can find me all those places. Abaddon, phonetically speaking, that makes more sense. This is going to be a good stream though, so I'm glad you guys are here, and we're going to get this thing started in a minute. I'm just going to let a few more people pour in. What else we got there? YouTube, sound off in the chat. I know I got some eyeballs on YouTube right now. Who's out there? Who's out in YouTubeville? Sign in, sign off. You want to sign in? Sign in. It's gonna be a good stream though. Very informative. So we need to share it out. Last one on YouTube. That's how it happens, man. I talk too much. Apparently, talk too much. So yeah. Bingo. I talk too much. No. Abaddon. That's cool. Got Trust is Earned. Arcadia Occult Curio Shop. Hello to you. What's up, Trust? That's a heck of a name. Arcadia Occult Curio Shop. That must be a rational wrong thing. Good day, Pipe. Good day, mate. Throw some shrimp on the bobby. Good day, mate. I'm gonna fly. I'm gonna power through this one, rational, or I would have had you set up to come on. But Franny, what's going on? Glad to have you, Franny. Times here. All right. Well, we got a few people watching. I don't need to keep everyone waiting for this much longer. I'm a good 5x5 out there. We are witches. Wow, that's crazy. shop here, which is, well, you know what? I am, my channel attracts all kinds, so hopefully good witches. We have to talk about that some of the time. I'm a Christian, so it's like, whoa, witches. Well, I would say, I was raised in the church kind of a thing, so we don't need to get all into that right now. Still have my faith, but the organized religion of church and whatnot, Christianity, has a lot of holes in it that bother me a lot, but I still have my faith, so I think that's all that matters. 5x5, okay, good. I got a 5x5 from Trust. Still sound like a palm. Palm, Aussie slang for British people. Good day, mate. Good day, mate. Crikey. You see the size of... You had me learning that pretty good. The whole relax and sound like you're talking with mush in your mouth. Nancy. No, not that kind of witches. Not that kind of witches. No. Not a Nancy Pelosi. I see what you did there. All right, let's get into it. Here we go. Woo! Welcome back to SJG Perspective, everybody. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out. This is going to be a good time. I want to cover a couple articles about what Bill Gates has recently said about the vaccine. You know, we have so many things we could cover. I could be talking about ACB, right? Get down with ACB. Yeah, you know me. ACB. Easy as 1, 2, 3. I was thinking of a parody song for ACB 2 to the Jackson 5. I thought that'd be a good one, but I haven't fully worked it on yet. But and then we could talk about the coup that is being attempted right now, that is being set up, that has been being set up for years, but is in the last final stages, and how there's a new article that just came out from Operation Disruption, I think it is, or and how they are basically coming out. I mean, it is a manifesto from the left that is what they're going to do come election day. And if we didn't already know it, if the signs didn't already point to what they were doing, they came right out and put it in black and white print and shared it with the world. I downloaded it because I didn't know if it was going to get memory hold into the internet. So I'm going to save that for another one. And I've kind of been wanting to do a shadow episode to what Glenn Beck did a 4-part series on regarding the coup and the color revolution that's taking place. I want to do my own version of that because that is for sure happening. But I really wanted to talk about the vaccine stuff because I think right now that's one of the major things that is happening, and that it's not getting a lot of attention because they don't want it to get a lot of attention. And with all the recent information coming out, my last video on the slip up from the WHO, which they accidentally told the whole world that 10% of the population has been infected with COVID-19, which is 780 million if you do simple math. But the official numbers is somewhere around the 35 to 37 million people and 1 million deaths, right? So it's funny how they let that slip, and you would only know it if you caught the article and then you scrubbed through about 6 hours of video to find actually where Dr. Michael Ryan came out and said that, the Irish guy. And it's pretty stunning. So I want to focus on the vaccine stuff tonight a little bit on a few articles here and give you some thoughts on that. So glad everyone's here. Let's jump right in, man. Please like and subscribe. And as I said earlier, before all the people were in here, I'm on podcast now, or I'm uploading all my episodes to podcast. You can find me on Breaker, Google Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, and Spotify. So I'll be uploading my podcast onto there, so you guys can subscribe there. And I'll be doing exclusive podcasts and won't be on YouTube over there also. So anyways, good. Let's jump in right now. Rebel Jack, Rational, Arcadia, Abaddon, and whoever else I may have trust. Thank you guys, Franny. Thank you guys all for hanging out. Well, let's jump right in here. So, jumping into our first segment. I got 3 papers. I go, hang on, dink, dink, and dink. Okay, because I'm going to do 3 meme times 2 with just 3 memes each as breaks. Just so you know, we're going to do a little meme time 2. It's going to be funny. Anyway, let's jump into the article here that I want to talk about first. This article comes from Bill, from RT, right? It says, Bill Gates says life will return to normal only after second generation of COVID vaccines are rolled out and virus is eliminated globally. Before, actually, you know what? I had this all perfectly laid out in my head, but before I jump into that, I want us to think about something as I read these articles. This is what I want you to think about as I read these articles, guys. Think about this. The coronavirus, as I just said, has infected 780 million people worldwide. Probably more than that, quite frankly. Probably more than that, but that's all we know about roughly right now, right? According to Dr. Michael Ryan from the World Health Organization, he said that himself a week ago. With 1 million people dead from the virus, this gives an IFR ratio of 0.0014. Or maybe it's 0.014. It's 1/8 of a percent. 1/8 of a percent. We're going to get into, I'm going to break that down, and I want you to be thinking just simply about this, because truth rests in the shadow of simplicity. I came up with that little line today, that little quote, and I have to pat myself on the back. I think that was a great line, a great quote, and I license you guys to use it. Truth rests in the shadow of simplicity. And they want us, the world wants us, the powers that be, the predators, the elite class, the orchestrators of this world want to convolute and confuse us and misdirect us, get us scared and get us all over the place and just get us drive by getting bits and pieces of the news or whatever, and not sit back and think about what is the truth. Because the truth is typically pretty simple in most cases. So, with 1 million people dead from the virus, this gives an infection fatality rate. You have CFR and IFR. CFR stands for case fatality rate, which is, as I understand it, meaning when you are affirmatively diagnosed by a doctor that you have it, right? And an infection fatality rate is when you don't really know. You never went to the doctor, but you end up dying from something, right? You end up dying from the flu or whatnot, and then later on they say, oh, he was infected with this, right? You don't know that you have it. An infection fatality rate. It's a very, a scaled down version for you to understand what those terms mean. So this means that if you had 10%, if 10% of the people died from it, which they don't, but that would be 78 million people. If you have 780 million people worldwide infected, because you have 7.8 billion, which is 7,800 million. Every billion is 1,000 million. So you have 7.8 billion people in the world. 10% would be 78 million people, okay, that have died from it. If you had 1%, you would have 7,800,000 people. If you had 0.5%, that would equal 3.9 million people died from it. If you had 0.25%, you would have 1.9 million people, roughly, 1,950,000 or 1,950,000 people that died from it at 0.25%. And if you had 0.1%, you have 1 million. So that's roughly where we're at. It's roughly around 8. So if you take an inch, right, and you look at an inch on a tape measure, right, that first little snitch, well, the very first one is 1/16. And really, quite frankly, with how many people they say have died from this, when you scale those numbers back, I don't even think it's 1 million people that have died from this. It's probably less than that, than 1 million. It probably is closer to 1/16%. But we'll give them the benefit of the doubt, and we'll say 1/8%. So look at a tape measure and pretend the 1 is 1 million. You have that first little notch right there. The first 2 notches is 1/8, right? That's how many people have died worldwide from this virus, according to how many people are in the world, right? Or have been infected by it, 780 million. You have 1/8% of people that have died from the virus. We have therapeutics that work extremely well against this virus, proven to work well. It truly only affects those that are around, really badly affects people who are over 70, 75 with comorbidities. And even then, even if you're over 70 years old and you have comorbidities, you have a 90% survival rate, 85 to 90% survival rate. That's being generous, right? I think it's closer to 95% survival rate, but we'll give them the benefit of the doubt again. 90% if you're over 70 with comorbidities, you're going to be fine. For the great majority of people, they have a 99.997% chance or better that they will be absolutely fine. 99.997% chance if you catch the vid, you're gonna be fine. This is where I'm saying the truth rests in the shadow of the simplicity. Okay? So think about that. Think about how overblown we are making this virus and what we are doing to this country. This is a psyop to roll in global power, global control, and to completely and totally, as everyone keeps saying, cause a revolution worldwide, and especially here in the United States of America. So having said that, preambled that, let's jump in now to the article I want to read. Bill Gates says life will return to normal only after second generation of COVID vaccines are rolled out and virus is eliminated. Technology tycoon Bill Gates said life can get back to normal only when, excuse me, not the vid, just coughing, when a second generation of COVID-19 vaccines is widely available and the virus is eradicated worldwide, a higher bar than was set for any disease in history. For a sickness with the same IFR as the flu, the same infection fatality rate as the flu, actually, I think it's lower than the flu. For an infection fatality rate lower, or we can just, for argument's sake, say as deadly as the flu every year, 780 million people have it, according to the WHO, worldwide. 1 million people have died. So for that, we are going to vaccinate everyone. And vaccinations don't even work for the flu. You're using the previous flu strain vaccination when you get vaccinated for the flu. I'm not anti-vaxxer saying all vaccines are bad. I think over-vaccinations and vaccinating for everything is bad. And there is plenty, even recently, of cases of talking about how bad or bad side effects that happen from these vaccines. Yet this douchewad is telling us that we are not going to get back to normal until the world is vaccinated. The only way we'll get completely back to normal is by having maybe not the first generation of vaccines, but eventually a vaccine that is super effective. And a lot of people take and that we get the disease eliminated on a global basis, Gates said on Sunday in an interview on NBC's Meet the Press program. This is where we can finally start taking all the problems that have been created in education and mental health, etc., and start to build back in a positive way. So we're going to completely destroy life as we know it for a fake pandemic. Then we're going to build back in a positive way. We're going to build back the way these elitist shitbags want the earth to look like. We're going to build back in the way they deem fit. That is what he's saying. We're going to smash everything down, destroy everything, then we're going to rebuild it in the utopia and in the picture that we want to see. Article goes on to say, Gates blasted the U.S. COVID-19 response as one of the worst in the world. Except for Trump administration's aggressive investments in vaccine development, there are lots of additional deaths coming if we don't get our act together, the billionaire philanthropist told NBC Chuck Todd. So, let me get this straight here. The response has been shit, except for the billions of dollars we have received and the immunity that we've been given. Other than that, it's shit. You think about that. The vaccine companies have been given complete and total immunity from any kind of liability. They haven't even had to fund this because they've been getting money thrown at them from all over, from all of these billionaires, from all of these elitists, right? They've been given money just thrown at them. And this is coming from the guy, and maybe we touch on this later, that we're supposed to take and believe he cares about us. The guy who said he wants to see the population of the earth greatly reduced, this is the guy that we believe is telling us the truth? This is it? Really? Goes on to say, Gates said it's wrong to call the treatment a cure because it won't work for every patient. But he sees it as the most promising COVID-19 therapeutic developed so far. So this was talking about one of the experimental monoclonal antibody treatments, right? But he said right here in this article that, the treatment, the therapeutics aren't a cure because they don't work all the time. Well, guess the fuck what, Bill? Vaccines won't work all the time either. Guess what, Bill? Vaccines don't work either. They work to make you more powerful. They work to implement your draconian worldwide global elitist plan. They work great for that. But guess what, Bill? They don't work all that great in the sense of making sure that people don't get sick and from the virus. Viruses mutate, Bill. Here's another article kind of talking about Bill, because we're on the Bill. We're on doing the Bill game here. Welcome, everybody. I'll read your comments here in a minute. It says, round up the anti-vaxxers, enlist religious leaders. Bill Gates warns U.S. needs to brainstorm ways to reduce vaccine hesitancy. When I read these things, it blows my mind that they're just coming out and saying it, but we live in such a brainwashed, dumbed down society that people aren't like, wait a minute. He's actually talking about getting people to propagandize and to, brainwash people into taking the vaccine, removing their vaccine hesitancy. Remember, the truth rests in the shadows of simplicity. This virus, I'm going to keep going back to this, has a near complete recovery rate. And we're shutting everything down. Wake the fuck. I know my audience doesn't have to wake the F up too much because we're already awake, but man, we need to wake people up around us. And you wake them up with the simplicity of the truth that most people are absolutely fine. And look what we're doing to our country. Look what we're doing to our world. Look what we're doing to our families. Look what we're doing to our livelihoods. Look what we're doing to mental health. Look what we're doing. And we have not even begun to see yet the massive destruction that lies in the ripples and the wakes of what we've done. Man, there is a lot more heartache coming on this. We haven't even seen it yet. So he basically is saying COVID-19 vaccine rollout by he says, billionaire software tycoon Bill Gates has urged the U.S. to prepare for a COVID-19 vaccine rollout by deputizing trusted community leaders to reduce vaccine hesitancy, bemoaning the rapid spread of conspiracy theories online. Ooh, conspiracy theories. We all know where that term came up, right? That term was made up by the CIA, and it was made for disinformation and to convolute the truth, which is usually pretty simple. To convolute what Occam's razor tells us that the most likely, likely situation is probably the truth. And if you look at what's happening with eyes taken, or with the shackles taken off your eyes, you see the most likelihood of this is it's a big sham. Use celebrities, community leaders, national leaders to reduce hesitancy. Translation. Use propaganda and peer pressure, shaming to get everyone on board with the jab. We need to use everyone at our disposal to get people on board with the jab. However, he goes on to say, with less than half of Americans saying they'd get the COVID jab, even if paid $100 for it, in a recent survey, Gates then focused his talk on enlisting nations' trust network to overcome the skeptics. We need to overcome these skeptics because we are smarter than they are. The trust network, what the F is that? There is no one on the media, there's no one in the media, the celebs, the politicians, etc., that I'm going to trust to tell me what to do or think. None of these politicians, none of these celebrities, none of these elected officials. I'm not just trusting what you tell me. That's why God gave me a brain, right? That's why I have common sense. That's why, again, the simplicity of the truth is what's going to guide my heart. I don't need, if I have a check in my spirit, if I have a check inside of me that says, wait a minute, something doesn't smell right. That doesn't smell the sniff test, right? That doesn't smell the sniff test, pass the sniff test. I don't need a bunch of other people telling me to trust it. It's propaganda. It's mind control. It's programming. This is what the masks have been for, right here. This is what the masks have been for. The masks and the mandates are for this right here. To get us on board with taking the jab. To get us reluctant to wanting to take a stand. To shame. That's what the masks are for. Because if you look at all the white papers and you look at all the information on masks, they do not have that much of a, they do not make that much of a difference one way or another. I'm not saying a mask doesn't make any difference. Speaking of sniff test, I've had this water out here. I'm not saying they don't make any difference, right? I'm saying they can, but in some ways, there's some tests or white papers rather that have proven that they're worse for you, right? It goes on to say, in places like Nigeria, we had to go to the religious leaders. In places like Nigeria, third world countries, where you could go in and you could test your jabs on people that were literally, talk about racism, right? Talk about not giving a crap about less fortunate people. They go to Nigeria. We've had to go to religious leaders and talk to them, have them speak out, vaccinate their children. So it is about understanding the trust network, who it is that you view as an expert. Very few people can look at the formulation or data correctly. That line right there is unbelievable to me, what he says. I'm going to read it again. Very few people can look at the formulation of data correctly. And what he means by that is look at the formulation of data the way we want you to. And we've confused enough people with all these crazy numbers and this and that and this and the cases and here and there and everywhere that we've confused them enough that most people can't come up with really what makes sense or what the data actually says. So we just need trusted people to go in there and to be our mouthpiece, our propaganda mouthpiece, and brainwash these people into doing what we want them to do. It's really unbelievable. It's so arrogant. Pretentious prick to say this. Very few people can look at the formulation and data correctly, meaning they are so stupid they should simply take the word of us intelligent overlords. We will get their trust network to sell it to them. Here's the thing. Those who do not look at it, or those who do look at it and are smart enough to look at the data, are some of the strongest opponents to vaccinations on a mass scale. Those who actually look at the data on vaccinations are some of the ones who are the most opponents of vaccination on a large scale. Those are the people that this douche nozzle belittles and attacks. It's unbelievable, people. It gets me so fired up and angry. I get so freaking angry when I hear this because people are just not getting it. They're not taking the time to read a few things for themselves and come to some conclusions that make sense in their hearts. Gates had typically harsh words for both conspiracy theorists and the social media platforms he believes enable them, complaining that very titillating things like the notion that somebody intentionally made this virus or that there's some conspiracy spread online so much faster than the truth, which is that it comes from a bat. The science, want to follow the science, Bill? There's so much science out there when you look at it that says there's no way this could have came from a bat. There's no way it could have mutated to become what it is organically. That didn't happen, Bill. And there's way too much circumstantial evidence, Bill, about level 4 labs and with Dr. Fauci over in China and with the military games over in China and all these other different things. There's way too much circumstantial evidence, Bill, that says that this just came from a bat. Gates called on social media to slow down or annotate things that actually cause huge damage, like not wearing masks or not being willing to take the vaccine if it proves that it is a key tool to getting back to normal. Conspiracy theorists is a nice setup, like I just talked about a second ago. How about conspiracy truthists? I'm getting choked up. It's not the vid. It has not been proven to have come from the bat. As I just said, I'm getting ahead of myself on some of my notes. That's patently false, right? The scientific data, the bill is correct that most people don't look at. The data that says it's unlikely that it did come from a bat. Bill says not wearing a mask causes huge damage. The science says you're incorrect, Bill, and the survey says you're incorrect. They have very little to do, very little use in slowing the spread of a virus. Though they do, in fact, cause bacteria and respiratory problems with long usage. Additionally, they cause soft cost issues, if you will. Mental illness, connectedness, us being connected to one another. The vaccine, again, is the end game for Bill. It always has been. Everything else is a setup to get us there. All of these other things are a setup to get us to the vaccine. That's all this is about. All the masks, all the lockdowns, all the mandates, they're here to get us to the vaccine and to get us to then the digital tracking on the vaccine. If you think you can't go in a store right now because you don't have a mask, wait till the vaccine rolls out. You think that you're going to be able to work your job? Right now, I have to wear a mask at my job. You think I'm going to be able to work my job when a vaccine comes out without them telling me I'm going to have to get vaccinated? I'm telling you, that kind of authoritarianness is where we are headed. Gates saved some barbs for the Trump administration. Administration, rather. Oh, did I finish this one? No, I didn't. Sorry. Gates saved some barbs for the Trump administration, disparaging the government's preparation for the response to the pandemic. Now, this part's rich. This part's great. Hear this part out. Accusing it of creating a vacuum of leadership by pulling out of the World Health Organization. Okay, here is where I have some issues with our administration and with President Trump. And I don't be damned if I piss people off by speaking the truth. I'm gonna speak the truth on this. This doesn't mean I'm against the Trump administration 100%, but when it comes to his hard as he's been pushing the vaccine, I am against that. I am against that. That is stupid. This is where my spidey senses go off. And here's why. Because the money he pulled out of the World Health Organization, right? The money he pulled out of the World Health Organization that Bill is talking about here, he gave that to Gavi. Bill Gates is heavily vested and connected in Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance, whatever. I forget what Gavi stands for right now. Gavi is also one of the major funding partners of, you guessed it, the WHO. So did Trump really pull that money out of the World Health Organization, or rather play a shell game with it? A shell game is more apparent of what that looks like. It's like he said, oh, I'm taking the money away from the WHO, right? And I'm giving it to Gavi, who is directly connected with Bill Gates and is one of the most heavy funders of the World Health Organization. So it's like, watch this hand. You can't see it because of my screen, but anyways, watch this hand. Why this hand here? Where's this hand? Oh, dang it. You get my point. It didn't work because I have my screen cropped up, but it's a shell game. And that's where my spidey senses go off a little bit and go, whoa. Why is Bill pretending like he's mad at Trump? Is this all a big Playhouse 90 WWE type stuff, right? Because really that money's still going to the WHO. And then he also goes on to say this. He goes, among other failings, Bill says this, is that we didn't do pandemic simulations like some countries, he complained. What the hell do you mean we didn't do it? I think the article touches on this, but what the hell do you mean we didn't do pandemic or simulations? We did Event 201 in October 2019. We did Crimson Contagion in January 2019 to August 2019. Go look that one up, Crimson Contagion. That's another one that we did, right? And then we did Clade X back in May of 2018. Right here shows the dishonesty with what he's telling people and the propensity that he has to lie directly to your face and to get people to think, yeah, Trump, he's been there 4 years. He didn't do any he didn't do any of these preparations. We did 3, and there's more than that too. There's plenty more than that, but that's 3 going back to 2018 that we did. Suspicious as hell, if you ask me. Completely. Let me take a drink. Water is so good when you're talking a lot, especially like me, because I talk a lot. Anyways, that is pretty insane to me that he goes on and he says some of these things. This is all a humongous setup, and we're going to get into the next segment here is the FDC and CDC cannot be trusted, according to Bill Gates. We can't trust the CDC or the FDC or FDA, according to Bill. And we're going to get right into that. But before we get right into that, you know what I thought it would be fun to do also right now? Take a quick little break, but not to lose anybody. Why don't we do a little meme time with Steven? Do a couple of those here. Oh, on a positive note, nobody has died of old age since March. It's true. It's funny because it's true. And playing right along into this whole vaccine thing. What about all the numbers, man? Numbers are all screwed up on the flu. How many people have died from the flu or how many people have died from pneumonia? And I'm going to go through the CDC numbers here later this week because I found, it's kind of hard to find, but I found that graph again that clearly spells out how many people have died. And it's really interesting when you look at pneumonia and flu and some of these other things. So anyways, good point, Will. Good point. So I see dead people. And they're registering to vote Democrat. It's funny because it's true. Yeah, this whole voter fraud stuff going on that the left likes to try to say we're doing. The left is trying to point the fact that and setting up the narrative for the coup that we are the ones messing with the voting. When the scientists have came out and said it's totally fine to vote in person, and yet they're still pushing the mail-in voting so hard because it's much easier to manipulate if you do it that way. This article comes from the Babylon Bee. Biden: I won't reveal whether I plan on abolishing the Constitution and establishing a glorious communist utopia until after the election. Joe Biden was asked yet again today if he plans to abolish the Constitution, overthrow Congress, dismiss the Supreme Court, and set up a communist regime to take their place. Once again, the Biden refused to answer the question, saying voters will find out whether he plans to seize the means of production and institute a one-party rule, USSR style. Look, if I tell you whether or not I plan to institute a new communist order, establishing a glorious worker-led revolution that will lead us out of the capitalistic nightmare and into the paradisical, I can't say that word, utopia, that would become the headline, Biden said. That would be playing right into Trump's game. So I'm not going to say whether I support this great idea. Don't voters deserve to know this? Asked a concerned reporter. No, they don't deserve to know, Biden snapped back. And you'll be the first thrown into the gulag, bucko. I'll tell you what. Write that whippersnapper's name down, Kamala. Oh, it's funny. Little tweet comes out here. It says, your governors just made you give up almost 8 months of your life, muzzled you and made you follow arrows like sheep because of COVID. Something our overweight, poor diet, 75-year-old president just got and recovered from in 4 days. You should be pissed. It's true, man, but people won't be. They won't be. And we're going to end on this one and get back into that article. I got a couple more after this. Accuse your enemy of what you are doing as you are doing it. Create confusion. Karl Marx, the father of communism. Now, I don't know if he said that or not. I didn't fact check whether or not Karl Marx said that. That could just be a cute and clever meme. But it's very, 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 very true what is happening right now. It's sad how true that is. So, anyways, that's been a little meme time with Steven. That didn't come out like I wanted it to. So let's go meme time with Steven again, but it didn't do that. But anyways, it doesn't matter. We're back. Okay. Let me get back into this here. This last two articles that I want to read that have kind of go in with what I'm wanting to talk about here. Sorry about that. I should have that a little more queued up and ready to go. Oh. Bill Gates doubts the FDA and CDC can be trusted on COVID and vaccines. Sure, let's trust a non-doctor billionaire who pays media instead. Makes sense. Gates bemoaned the decline of the Food and Drug Administration and the Centers for Disease Control, the U.S.'s two chief health regulatory agencies in charge of monitoring drug safety. In a pair of interviews on Tuesday, insisting they'd become politicized servants of the Trump administration. Instead, he argued Americans should trust private sector pharmaceutical companies, specifically Pfizer, to save the day with COVID-19 vaccine, possibly even before the year's end. Now, here again, here's something that Trump did say during the debate, if you caught him, when Biden, the one thing he said that I agreed with him on, I can't believe I'm saying that, when he was saying, hey, I don't think we should rush this vaccine, and I'm not going to necessarily trust Trump if he says it. And then Trump chimes in and says, well, do you trust Pfizer? Do you trust Monosalufi or whatever their name is? Do you trust Johnson & Johnson? He actually used the same line that Bill Gates used right here. I also don't trust the FDA or the CDC, along with the pharmaceutical companies. I don't trust any of those sons of bitches, because they're all kind of one and the same. Right? These federal governments and these huge pharmaceutical companies are completely in bed with one another. Though Bill and Donald agreed here, like I said, they're saying the same thing. So that that should make you kind of ask a question why when they're pretending like they don't like one another. As a major investor in pharmaceutical sector who has shoveled millions of dollars in development of 7 different vaccines for the novel coronavirus, Gates stands to make trillions if one of his jabs eventually wins. Now, one of the things you'll hear being said about this is that vaccines they don't make any money. They're kind of a lost leader. You know, they're not a big money maker for pharmaceutical companies. But that couldn't be farther from the truth, actually. They're a huge money maker. especially when they don't have to put up the money to make them, and all the liability and money that they would set aside for lawsuits for side effects are taken off the table. The vaccines right now are a humongous, especially when you're talking about wanting to vaccinate the whole globe. They are an insane moneymaker. So that is something you'll hear anti-vaxxer or the vaccine debunkers say, which is absolutely not true. But yeah, I don't want to. Sorry, Bill. Sorry, Mr. Billionaire. I don't want to trust the pharmaceutical companies, especially, like I've said, when there's nothing for them to lose to lie to us. With the U.S. and other countries already inking multi-high dollar deals for hereto untested and in few cases clearly unsafe vaccines, the only potential obstacle to the biggest payday in pharmaceutical history are the regulators, which, though largely defanged and domesticated by muscular pharmaceutical lobby, still require a few safety requirements to be met in order to roll out the new shot. The testing at this point, it's all for show, right? There is no liability. The cost of them and producing them is next to none. They have like literally almost zero skin in the game. So at this point, it is more apparent than ever to trust or to give your body to these experimental vaccines for a virus that, again, 99.997% of people recover from. It's insanity. Truly, truly insanity. There's good reason to be cautious. Pandemrix, the last Rush-developed vaccine, rolled out under the watch of a man in charge of Trump administration's vaccine gold rush, former GlaxoSmithKline vaccine director Moncef Slaoui, left hundreds of children ill, including brain damage, and cost the UK government millions of pounds in restitution payments. Well, here's the thing now. They don't have to worry about that. Vaccines have no real side effects, and we should all use them for comparatively speaking, a bad flu season, right? They have no worries right now because they have no liability anymore. They have no liability. Forget the fact that it could cause brain damage in kids, right? Forget the fact that it's left many, many children ill. Forget all the fact that Moderna vaccine, that it's a completely brand new vaccine on the market. It's never been on the market. Completely brand new technology, the mRNA vaccine that they've been trying to get rolled out since 2012, and the efficacy was so bad, and the side effects were so bad that they've completely and totally abandoned it not been able to get it to market. They haven't abandoned it. It's an mRNA, messenger RNA. It is a vaccine that isn't inserting dead cells of a vaccine or of a virus into you that gives you antibodies. It's actually reprogramming your DNA. That's the vaccine, the mRNA vaccine that they want to inject into people. And that Moderna is one of the they got like $480 million from the government, from the federal government for theirs. And back in January, they were ready to roll one out before we even were knowing there was a pandemic. They were ready to start their R&D and ready to start cycling up making their vaccine back in January, which is odd timing if you think about that. But the staggering financial success has been used to distract. So Gates has perhaps been forgiven for his ignorance on the pandemic saga. After all, the Microsoft founder is not a doctor. He never even graduated college, let alone attended medical school. But his staggering financial success has been used to distract from his total lack of expertise. And especially since the pandemic began, he's been carted out to speak on topics about which he knows next to nothing about. He knows talking points on them. He's not a doctor, right? From the utility of lockdowns, he loves them, to hydrochloroquine treatment, evil, bad, wrong. Don't want to use hydrochloroquine, even though many, many people are using it. And surprisingly enough, many people are using that in Africa because it's a malaria drug. And guess where there's very little outbreak of Covid-19? Africa. Wow, who would have thunk it, right? Who would have thunk it? Because many people are already on hydrochloroquine down there. There's no subject on which Gates' word isn't treated as gospel. You think about that last paragraph. He has next to no real knowledge on this, other than his pro-vax talking points. He has an ass load of money, and because of that, people listen to him. That's the world we live in. who is Bill Gates' handlers is kind of what I want to know. I would love to know who he reports to, because he has no business telling us what's going on and what we should or shouldn't be worrying about. But it's easy to see conflicts of interest here too. A population locked down for an extended period of time is much more likely to accept a vaccine as a condition for regaining their freedom. That's what it's about, guys. Making you uncomfortable, making you wear masks. No matter how untested or unsafe, an effective low-cost treatment of COVID-19, which many doctors swear hydrochloroquine is when administered alongside zinc and an antibiotic, would completely scuttle his universal vaccination plan. That's what it is. That's why everyone poo-poos these treatments so bad, is because it would. Why do we need a vaccine if we have therapeutics that work just fine? Right? That 99.997 people get better, and those who are really in the danger zone of this virus, hey, we got a lot of very, very capable and effective therapeutics. Why are they poo-pooed? Because they don't want that out there. That's why they shut down these doctors that are talking about it, right? Because they want that all shut down, because it makes too much sense. Because what? Again, truth. Where does truth hide? In the shadow of simplicity, right? The fact of the matter is, these therapeutics are far more effective, but they scuttle the plan of the vaccine. And given how many of those so-called conspiracy theorists are speculating about Gates' real motives, hint, the man who wants to surveil the entire surface of the earth from space and talks about digital certificates to show who's had COVID-19 or been vaccinated, is probably not doing this out of the love for humanity. He has every reason to want them silenced. He wants every counter narrative to his vaccine plan silenced. Because this is the guy who wants to know every single thing that everyone is doing and wants to be able to digitally mark every single person. And there it is for us conspiracy theorists, right? In a nutshell, Occam's razor. The simplest theory is most often the right one. And in this scenario, the simplest, most common sense apparent answer is what I just read. Right? That he doesn't want anything out there that's going to scuttle his plan. This douche-tard's plan. He wants to vaccinate, and vaccinate widely, because that's what fits into this crackhead's plan for the world. It's crazy. And then this final article here just came out today, I think it was. Anti-vax ads banned on Facebook as social media platform pledges to promote vaccines. Now, if you go back to Event 201, they had social media people there, or people are talking about what they would do with social media and how they would corral the narrative, and they would safeguard the narrative, and they would make sure that only appropriate information gets passed around on Facebook, and everything else gets shut down. That's why anytime you pass anything around that doesn't fit the exact narrative, they either completely censor it, right, take it down, or they put all those banners that this is a conspiracy theory, this isn't true, you can't trust this information isn't right, blah, blah, and bling, bling, blop, right? Well, as he had just said a couple, in the first article I read, that he wants to get the trust network, right? Well, this is the trust network. This is getting kind of back to that whole getting people on board that vaccinations are great and they're good. Facebook will encourage users to get the flu jab and ban ads that discourage people from getting a vaccine. It's going to encourage that you get this vaccine because you're not smart enough to formulate all the information yourself. So you're going to trust us when we tell you what you need to do. And we're going to ban ads that have any kind of go against the narrative at all. And we're going to promote the ads that tell you should get it. The ban is the latest effort by the firm to restrict fringe content after banning Holocaust denial and QAnon posts. The best antidote to stupid theories is to let them out there so people can talk about them and not censor them. And you can talk about them with truth and everything else. And guess what? If you were able to do that, so many more people would be awakened to what's going on, because they would have these good scientific papers and good solid ideas and good solid theories on what we should take, right, when it comes to treatments, and how little the drug does kill, or the virus does kill. And QAnon, you'd be able to call out all the QAnon people with their silly silly theories that say, hey, just trust the plan. Wait, it's about to happen. And you'd start to be able to say, wait a minute, this doesn't quite match up. Some of these things that you keep saying we've been waiting for years and years and years, and Holocaust denial and whatnot. You'd be able to call some of that stuff out. I'm not going to go into the Holocaust thing, because I'm just not going to go into that one. But this is all part of the plan, though. Social media, as Gates has said, will be used to brainwash and propagandize the brainless. That's what it's for. That's what they're doing, and that's what it's for. The Silicon Valley behemoth will partner with the World Health Organization and UNICEF to build trust in vaccines. Here we go, the trust networks, right? To build trust in the vaccine in areas of the world where uptake is low. In the US, Facebook will remind users to schedule a flu vaccine. Flu vaccines don't work worth a crap. They have like a 30% effective rate of vaccine because you're using the previous flu vaccine. They're terrible. They don't work at all. I've never got one and never will get one. And direct them to the nearest location for the jab. This campaign will be expanded to the other countries in coming weeks. So Facebook is now doing it. They're already on board with it. They're already doing it. There's so many things at Facebook. Facebook is such a Nazi. It's such a. They're bigger than the government, man. They're bigger than our Bill of Rights, and they don't care. And there's nothing. I don't know. I don't know what you can. You could say, hey, they shouldn't be a platform. That we should call them publishers. That's just going to make it worse. If you call them a publisher, I've thought about this. If you call them a publisher, that means now they can get sued for censoring somebody. So guess what they're going to do? They're just going to kick all those people off anyways. For whatever reason they want to. It's going to cause more, not less. It's going to cause more censorship, not less censorship. What people need to do is shut their Facebook off. They need to go to, there's many other sites, man. You have, for like YouTube, you have Odyssey, right, .com, you have Rumble, you have a Parler, there is Telegram. There's plenty of other social media sites that don't censor and don't play these games, right? DLive for streaming. There's plenty of other ones out there that don't play these games. And the only way you shut these people down is not by putting more regulations on them. It's by leaving them. It's by leaving them. That's what you should do. You should actually just start driving people over to your Parler channel, or to your Twitter, or to your Parler, or your DLive channel, or your your Rumble or Odyssey. Those are two that are like YouTube, basically. Drive them there and just put a meme up once in a while. Hey, you haven't heard from me for a while? Come join me on Parler. Hey, friends, haven't heard me from a while? Come join me over here. Come join. This is where I'm posting. This is where I'm at. Drive traffic away from Twitter. Drive traffic away from YouTube. Drive traffic away from Facebook. End your accounts there. That's the only way it changes, right? That's the only way they change, is when they start losing in mass. Then maybe they'll change their rules. But right in line with the agenda, man, right in line with the agenda on this article is Facebook has long been accused of conservatives of censorship and has been particularly active in clamping down on fringe content in recent weeks. The platform expanded its hate speech policy on Monday to include content that denies or distorts the Holocaust, and will redirect users searching for this content to authoritative sources to get accurate information. Authoritative sources, according to who? According to who? It's insanity what's happening right now. It's crazy insanity what's happening. And we need to wake up to this, guys. The vaccine, man, I'm gonna go back up here and read one more time just to give you guys on everything, all this vaccine push, this vaccine nonsense. The World Health Organization came out. The World Health Organization came out and said 10% of the 7.8 billion people in the world have been infected with the coronavirus. That's 780 million, not 35 or 37 million. That's why they don't really want, and here's the thing that is the mind game they're playing, and I don't understand why more people don't pick up on it when they say cases are going up. Good. I wish they could test everyone and show everyone just how many people have it. I bet you damn near 300 million people here in the United States have had it. I bet you damn near everyone's had it. But if they did that, and there's only 1 million people dead, guess what that does to their narrative, their fear narrative? It kills it. It smashes it. So, please share this video out, and please remember that the truth rests in the shadow of simplicity. Truth rests in the shadow of simplicity, man. 1/8 of 1%. 1/8 of 1% of people who get this die. 99.997% of people survive. Probably more than that, because again, I am being conservative. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. 1 million people. That's an inflated number of how many people have died. We know that from even Dr. Birx. Dr. Birx has said 25% of the people that have died from this are incorrectly, are called COVID deaths incorrectly. Dr. Birx said that. So, I know I'm preaching to the choir with a lot of my people here, but I don't think it can be said enough, man. I don't think it can be said enough. I think people need to wake up, man. It is. It's more survivable than the common flu. Mark just said that, and it's true. It's absolutely not worth a vax. You're right, man. Absolutely. Yes. Well, 16 watching right now. It's not a record, but I mean, my numbers have been going up a little bit, but I think I've had 35 at one time, but whatever. I don't even care. And here's the thing. I really don't care. YouTube's playing so many games. A friend of mine told me the other day, he shared my channel with some people, and they couldn't find it. They couldn't find SAG Perspective. Now, I can find it when I do it. I don't know how you guys, when you Google it, since maybe you're subscribed, it'll pop up. People who weren't subscribed, he said they couldn't find my... So I know YouTube's playing games with me, and I don't care. I'm using this for now, but please, everyone, do subscribe to me find me on my podcast on Google. Go to Google Podcasts, SJG Perspective, Spotify, SJG Perspective, and on other ones too. You know, like, I don't know what podcasts you guys listen to. Podcasts are the greatest, though, because you get you're never going to miss a notification. You're never going to miss an episode. And I'm going to upload them onto there. But Breaker, that's one. Google, like I said, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, and Spotify. I'm on all of those right now. So, and then also on Anchor FM. You can go to Anchor, ANCHOR, Anchor. I don't know how you spell Anchor, I guess. .com. But anyways, well, I still got a few of you here. Why don't we laugh a little bit and do a couple more of these do just a couple more memes before we head out. A couple more memes here. Meme time with yeah, there it is. And just like that, little Susie cured the worst virus of all. She smashed her television. Man, I'm telling you what, there's a lot of truth in that, people. Don't let the TV tell you what's up. Everything is so propagandized on television right now. It always has been, but man, the left is pushing hard. Their intersectional, postmodern, Black Lives Matter, institutional racism, 1619 bullshit agenda on almost every episode now. It's or show I see has it in it. The new movie Antebellum, I don't recommend anybody see it. Oh my God, it was such a disappointing movie. Could have been so good, but it was nothing but a big shame fest, a big woke fest, man. It was terrible. I've served this country for decades. What is China? Alex, what is China? What is China? It's funny. Hi, I'd like a wake-up call. Okay, everything you have ever seen on mainstream media has been a lie to take your rights away. Yet you defend it because you defend it with your ego because you're still asleep. Not the wake-up call I was asking for, but one you needed. Facebook announces it will now add warnings to any post expressing hope during the pandemic. To encourage more responsible posting during a deadly pandemic, Facebook has announced it will attach warnings to any posts expressing hope, optimism, confidence, or other good cheer until the virus threat has passed. In light of recent reckless statements by the president, we believe expressing any sort of optimism to be completely irresponsible during this deadly time, said Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg. If we allow our users to feel any sense of hope, they may let their guard down. Worse, they may even take their masks off. Starting this week, all Facebook posts that show any hint of confidence that everything is going to be okay will be labeled with a potential false hope warning, and friends will be prompted to confirm that they really want to share such things during a pandemic. According to sources, exceptions will be made for Joe Biden's Facebook account since any hope he shares is without malarkey and totally reliable. Here at Facebook, we are proud to be on the cutting edge of safety and security, said Zuckerberg. Everything's going to be okay, we promise. I really love the Babylon Bee. That is some good stuff, man. Good stuff right there. So, well, guys, that was about it that I had to do tonight. And I streamed for my typical about an hour. Man, I get everything down to about an hour. I'm getting a little more solid, cutting some of that fluff out, and I'm enjoying my time here with you guys. I'm going to be covering the coup stuff. I'm going to cover a disruption, Project Disruption. I want to also go a little more deeply into some of the numbers with the COVID stuff going forward. And let me see here. There's a few of these things that I've been doing some research on that I'm going to start doing some series on. But and if I ever get time to do some more parodies, I need to get at that. Rational Wrong Think. I don't know if you're still here, man, but I was thinking of a really funny one. Is something. Don't know a lotto, Mr. Fregato. Do a Mr. Roboto, but do a Mr. Fregato. Don't know a lotto, Mr. Fregato. To Styx is Mr. Roboto. If you're still here, Rational, I think that would be a really good one we should work on offline. Mr. Roboto to Mr. Fregato. I think we should do that one. That would be a good one. That was funny. But let me read some of these, and then we'll get out of here. I don't know how far up I should go. I got a lot of chatters in here, man. So justify massacre also allows them to justify massive immigration from Africa. Yeah, that's true. Easy. My freedom is not for sale. Neither is mine. I've read suicide from lockdowns has killed more than the COVID. I believe it has, Mark. Trump is in the danger zone and he is fine. Trump was in the danger zone. Yep, exactly. The COVAX is the door. It's the upgrades you have to worry about. The COVAX is the door. It's the upgrades you have to worry about. Yeah, any of the vaxes, man. I don't know what that means, but much like his operating system. His operating system keeps my laptop slow, so my phone works better. Q needs a different letter. Yeah. In search of followers, primes, and views, come on bigfollower.com. Oh, I don't know what that is. In search of followers, primes, and views, come on bigfollows.com. Oh, somebody that was, hey, get your stupid ads out of here, man. Vitella, whatever it is. If Holocaust denial had been allowed to be expressed openly, it would have died a long time ago. As it is, it seems to just keep going, if not growing. Yeah, good point. Did you hear about the SEAL Team 6 whistleblower? Yes, I did hear about all of that. I read it. It was the first video I watched this morning when I woke up. And here's my thing on that one, guys. Here's my thing on that one. Nothing's going to happen. I'm not saying that the whistleblower isn't real. I'm not saying that I believe that happened. I can believe all of the story that they're saying about it was all a big psyop, that Obama and Hillary and the whole Biden and everybody was in on all of that stuff. I can believe all of that. What I can't believe is that it's actually going to bring them down. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be a big poo-pooer of hope on that one, but I just don't think that that's going to happen. I just don't see that really actually happening. So I want to be wrong. I so bad want to be wrong, but I don't think it's going to happen. Arcadia says, I was removed from Facebook and Twitter. Well, it's probably because you were talking too much sense, Arcadia. You think the internet crash may be a tactic to come? Yeah, the internet crash. I think that's what you were saying. Easy. Yeah, absolutely. They could crash the internet and take it down. They're going to have to, probably, because they've already talked about they're going to lock everything down on the election time. We're being set so much up for a coup on that. Everything is being set up for a coup on the election right now. That's my only. Says Mark B says, I've been in Facebook jail a few times. Makes me want to delete it, but that's my only connection with some people. No, I get it. I still have my Facebook, and I post memes on there, and I just post stuff to inflame people and to troll sometimes and get just to say things to people. But I anytime I post a video from SJG Perspective on my regular Facebook page, it gets shadow banned immediately. Nobody sees it. So I just they're just dicks. My son's friend's dad. This is starting out like Ferris Bueller's Day Off. My son's friend's dad was hit by a car and killed. His death certificate said COVID. Yeah, it's the way it is, man. I reloaded the YouTube notifications and saw you. Oh, okay. I find it no problem even on the. I find it no problem even on new accounts. I don't know what that means. I'd share, but I'm off anti-social media. Okay, well that's cool, Ease. You don't have to. First time early was wrong just yesterday. The first meme early was wrong just yesterday. Don't know what that means either. I used stealth window and could not find your account. Ah, there you go. Rational said that I used the stealth window and couldn't find your account. Yep, that's funny. There you go. Hey, I got to go check out the articles on the Patriot Hour or SEAL Team 6. It's pretty bad for certain people. Yeah, it is, but I just don't think it's going to happen, man. I just don't think anything's going to happen out of it. I want to do a mashup of some songs for people crapping at Pelosi's house. That's funny. I have cars recorded. Just got an ad video of Pentifa getting his cars. Oh, that's good. I can't wait to hear that. Yeah, a lot of people are off Facebook. Yeah. Oh, you could find it. Oh, okay. Well, it throws my theory into the wind. Anyways, all right, guys, I'm gonna jump off. Thank you so much for hanging out. SJG Perspective. Please check me. Please subscribe to me on some of my podcasts. Like I said, go to Google Podcast or Spotify and or on Anchor. Find me there. Follow me there. And until next time, it's SJG Perspective without fear or animus. I appreciate you guys hanging out, and we'll talk real soon. Have a great night. Later. Bye.